Hi, I'm Georgia from Babylon, and today we are here with Javier Carrillo, one of the artists that is going to perform in our musical event here at Cobblestone on October 14th. So, Javier, you started to play the guitar when you were a child in Peru. How did you get interested about music?
Hey Georgia and everybody, thanks for having me. Yes, I got interested in the guitar at a very young age. I got into music, I think, based on the influence of my mom. She would play music the whole day at home, and the classics, like Queen, Bon Jovi, and the likes. And I think that influenced me a lot. And one day I was listening, and I remember to this song by Bruce Springsteen called "Streets of Philadelphia," and I was like, I think, what if I could do that sound? What if I could go and do that kind of magic, so to speak? And I started trying, and I was lucky enough that my mom found, she bought me a very cheap guitar, probably the cheapest available. And I started practicing with that. In the beginning only with 3 strings, because I quickly broke 3 of them. So I only had 3 strings on my guitar. And well, I got into that. I self-taught myself how to play it. And soon after that, I was already, you meet neighbors, you meet people around, and you start playing a bit, some songs with them. You assume, you actually imagine you're rock stars already, but it was just 3 kids playing some songs. And yeah, that's what drove me into that. I think, as I said, the influence from my mom mainly. Yeah.
Okay, but how did you start the performance? Was in the band?
Yeah, it was actually in a band. I was practicing at home, as I said, with my neighbors, and I also endeavored into drums. It was actually quite funny. I made myself a drum kit with pans, with buckets. My mom hated it probably, but still she supported me. She encouraged me to keep doing it. And then I bought, again, one of the cheapest drum kits available probably. And I met this local band of 20-something-year-olds, and they wanted me in their band. I was 13, so my mom was not really sure about whether she wanted me to play with them, but I joined them. And my first gig was when I was 13. I was a child drummer. And yeah, that's how I started. I started playing drums for a band, and suddenly, from one moment to the other, I had my weekends booked, and now I had to play on the weekends and Saturdays, whereas every other kid in the street was like, playing football or something. I was gigging. So yeah, that's how I started.
And how did you move from this band to the way you play now?
Right. This was, I think, being in a band since such a young age, I think nurtured me. It helped me develop my skills. I would see how the singer sings, how the bassist plays the bass guitar, and I started getting curious about all of these things. So I literally was asking them, can you teach me to do that sound that you're making? Could I learn from you? And probably because I was the youngest among them, they had a lot of patience with me for that. So when I was 14 or so, I started writing my own melodies, my own songs, and showing it to my bandmates. And they were like, hey, that's cute, that's really nice. But I started doing that. But then, I got maybe a bit better, or at least more confident about it. And when I was 15, I finally decided to start I will start playing my guitar and singing. And I had my first gig with my own small band at the school. It was a school gig, where your teachers and classmates go. But for me, it was awesome. For me, it was my Woodstock. I was like, wow, this is awesome for me. I was playing with them, with my classmates, literally, my friends from school. And that's how I started. 15, I would say, yeah.
So you said the classics influenced you a lot when you were younger, but today, what would you say is your biggest influence for your music?
I think my biggest influence in my music is still, maybe I'm stuck in the rock from the 90s and 80s. I like that classic rock bass guitar, music, right? Where you just have power trios, just rock, basic, not so elaborated and so on. However, for my lyrics, over the years, I've always returned to folk music, especially from South America. There are many artists that I think in the 80s and so struggle a lot with the social climate in the continent. And they always made lyrics that had, I want to say, a lot of deeper meaning. They had to say a lot about the injustices, authoritarianism, dictatorships, poverty, and so on that they were experiencing. So I always go back to those, and by that I mean Fito Páez, Spinetta, a lot of Argentinian artists actually, Mercedes Sosa and the likes, and they influenced me a lot. More recently though, I would say that I am a big fan of bands like, for example, the White Stripes. I like them a lot. The simplicity again, basic rock with a lot of message, I guess. And also I like Garbage. It's a band. It's led by Shirley Manson. I think they're awesome. I always like the stylistics, the production, and I love the fact that their drummer Butch Vig was also producing Nirvana. So I think those would be my influences today, so to speak, in the music.
So now you have a few original songs. How is your process to write, to compose your melodies?
I think for me they come in two parallel streams. On the one hand, I have this bank of thoughts, reflections that typically come to my mind after having coffee with people, chatting with them, and as they tell me about their experiences of life or problems, I have this thought like, this is an interesting reflection. I don't know, something like, life is a gift that takes a long time to understand, for example, right? And then I write that down, I keep it somewhere, and I have that bank of thoughts and inspirational ideas, so to speak, quotes. On the other hand, I have melodies. Sometimes melodies come to me in the most random places. Sometimes I'm sleeping and I wake up with a melody in my head and I record it on my phone. And then I keep these kind of two banks, these stashes of melodies and thoughts. And at some point it's time, it's that Sunday of the month, it's time to put them together. And I literally pick one of the thoughts and I try to elaborate lyrics around it and match it with a melody. And suddenly I have a mini song, and then again, because I learned from my bandmates at an early age to play all these other instruments, I put all the contour around it. I start adding bass lines and drums and so on. And suddenly, without really realizing it, I have a song. That's how I end up with it.
And you are working in a new single right now, right?
I am indeed.
What can we expect it?
Well, I've been working on this single I was actually hoping to release a single earlier in the year. However, some things happened in my personal life that delayed it. Good things, fortunately. But now I am hoping to release by November one of my new single called Of Holy Things. It's an acoustic folk song with a lot of meaning and talks about lost friendships, so to speak. And as I said, I'm hoping to release it by the end of November. And I will also be working on an album that I hope to release for next year. I have so many original songs that I finally have to put on record, on tape, as they used to say.
And do you have plans for your future career? What can we expect for you?
Yeah, indeed. So I've been, now that COVID has finally, it's almost over, venues are reopening. So I'm planning to gig a lot. As I mentioned, I want to also finally release this album. I have all these many songs that I want to put properly on record and release. So I will be releasing that. But also, during COVID especially, I started looking at self-producing my music. I learned a lot about recording, mixing, mastering, and so on. So I would also like to maybe start working with other artists in the community, in the local Dublin scene, to help them record and mix and produce their music. So I'm trying to do both things with my band and release music, but also producing for others.
And Javier, to finish our conversation, what would you say to someone who wants to pursue a musical career?
I would say persist. Persist. The other day, I heard this fantastic quote or thought, right? Talking about the bank of thoughts, right? Which is the best musician, or the best drummer in this case, because it was a conversation with one of my friends. The best drummer is the one that is there. You might meet many people who are fantastic, but if the moment you need them, they're not there, it's useless. So persist, be there, keep giving at it. Sometimes it might seem like because you have a different style of music or a different origins, or maybe different skin color, or you have a different background, so to speak, you might feel that your music is not important or is not relevant. But I tell those people, persist, keep at it. You will see the results, and believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, because as I said, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So you have to start with yourself. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you're on the stage, nobody knows you. Who is this weird-looking guy, maybe, who is playing some odd-sounding music with some influences from South America or whatever. But I say, believe in yourself, keep at it, and persist.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Javier, for our talk. You can listen to Javier's songs on your favorite streaming platform. And of course, don't miss his performance on October 14th here at Cobblestone.